Hello and welcome to Charter Local Edition Northwest. I'm Dana Cowley and my guest today is Mia Love. She's the mayor of Saratoga Springs in Utah. Thanks so much for joining us. We're so glad you could make it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You are a rock star in the Republican Party, a rising person to watch.
Oh gosh, you know, I'm just a mom. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, you know, I go to all the basketball games and track meets and do all the things that moms do, and so.
Well, you spoke at the National Convention. You're on Fox News, in the national papers. I've seen you interviewed with George Stephanopoulos, and that has got to open up some doors for you. Now you have this national recognition. What do you plan to do with it?
Well, you know, it's certainly, this is not something I said I wanted to do when I grow up. But, you know, there's a need out there to get people to understand that, you know, it's not all over, that that as long as we continue to stay in this fight, that we're not going to change as a country, that we will instill all those values that made us great and continue to live those values. And I just want people to not give up. I want them to know that we're going to heal this nation from the ground up, not Washington.
And you ran last year against Jim Matheson in
Yes.
Utah, who was a longtime Democratic incumbent, and you almost beat him. I think the margin was less than 1%. Can you tell us what you learned from that campaign and how you plan to play that forward in your next race?
Well, I'm certainly a different candidate, and we've learned that people aren't just going to go to the polls on their own. You've got to physically, you know, go and get people and say, hey, let's go and go to the polls. The other thing that we've learned is we've got to make sure we raise enough money to get our message out. There are a lot of outside groups that will come in and try and define a candidate, and they're not interested in telling the truth. They're just interested in being effective, and whatever message that is to get for their opponent to lose, then that's what they're going to portray. So I think it's really important for us to get our message out and really talk to the voters and get the voters engaged in this process.
And you mentioned fundraising, so you have filed so you can begin your fundraising effort.
Right. And we've got our website open, and we're really excited about getting people on and donating to the campaign so that we can get this thing going.
If you are elected to Congress, you would be the first black woman conservative in American history. And if you're elected, how would you reconcile your personal beliefs of personal responsibility with social justice, which seems to be such a big divide in the country now?
Well, I ask myself this question. Do I believe that as Americans we have an obligation to care for those who cannot care for themselves? Absolutely. If we have the means and the resources to care for our neighbors who are suffering, should we do that? Yes, we should. But I also believe that the day that we decide that we need federal government to force us to do that is the day that we've decided to decline as a society. That's not who we are as Americans. We've always given more voluntarily, and I believe that people who are self-sufficient and independent can give back and can be effective in their communities.
And if you are elected to Congress, the big issue these days, of course, seems to be the budget. What ideas do you have for shaving the budget, and where would you make your adjustment?
Before we can even talk about cuts, we need to actually have a budget. And so, you know,
Good point.
it's not rocket science. Budgets tell you these are the resources you have. This is what it looks like, and what are you going to prioritize? And until we have a budget, we can't get the American people engaged in prioritizing.
Mia, thank you. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. You're watching Charter Local Edition Northwest. Our guest today is Mia Love. I'm Dana Cowley, and thanks for watching.